Hey, I'm Dustin.
And I'm Steve. And this week we're joined by James Kelly and Ross Eaglesham for a very special episode of the Wedding Photo Hangover Photographers Craic Podcast.
Part 2.
Yeah, part 2. The finest in phototainment. You're listening to it right here.
In the world.
Yeah.
We're just going to really interrupt you now and just annoy you. Is that right?
It's time for another episode. We're an irreverent look at photography. This podcast, like aspirin, will help you recover from your wedding hangover as we crack a little bit, right? Is that am I using that correctly?
Crack.
Yeah. Just no. It's not a verb. It's not a verb.
We're all just here. We're cracking together.
It's not it's not to crack. It's the crack. It's the crack.
Yeah.
What's the crack? You know.
Share the crack.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, this is going to be a long hour, James.
We're cracking.
This is
Cracking the crack.
So, right before we started talking, you guys were saying something about the Bo-Abbey. What the hell is that?
The Bo-Abbey. Yeah, the Bobby.
The Bo-Abbey.
The Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby.
The Bobby.
The Bobby.
Anyone in Scotland will be able to, they'll know exactly what that is. But
Stephen loves the Bobby. Do you like the Bobby, Stephen?
I have no idea.
Yeah. I bet you like the Bobby.
Well,
This sounds
all
really
have,
dirty now. I'm regretting asking about it.
We all have bobies, and the other half of the human race don't have bobies.
Half of the... You're the maths teacher.
Well, roughly.
Oh,
1 and 2.
mate. Do we have, the Bobby is a willy.
Oh.
The willy.
And what's a willy?
A willy is that thing dangling between your two legs next to the meat and two veg.
I don't have one of those.
Oh.
Franken beans.
Your one-eyed treasure snake.
So, what are you guys drinking tonight?
I have not decided yet because this is just me basically bigging myself up, so I'm really sorry, but I got a wee present from my one of my latest brides, and it's 6 wee mini bottles of distilleries from around Scotland, and I was going to ask you guys which one you want me to drink. I'm going to drink one because I'm working tomorrow. So I've got 6 different whiskies here. Hang on.
I'm only going to drink one. I've got 6.
They're in a little box. So I've got West Coast Islay right the way up through Speyside and up kind of to northern, well above where you are, James, actually. This is up near Thurso. They're all whiskies that are closed, distilleries that are closed. So these ones have obviously been got from somewhere, and they've been made into little mini packets. So I was dead chuffed with the present, so I thought, yeah, sod it, I'll drink one tonight.
That is the most UK sentence I've ever heard.
What
I was dead chuffed from the present, so I thought, sod it, what the hell just happened?
I was rather pleased, so I thought, fuck it, I'll just drink one tonight.
Oh.
Is that easier for you to understand?
Thank you for the translation.
Yeah, that's okay, don't worry.
So these are whiskies from distilleries that have been mothballed. They no longer run.
Pretty much, yeah.
And you're going to waste it on you.
Yeah, they're wasting it on me.
So someone who really doesn't appreciate whiskey and is going to go piss out of your bobby, So
fuck off. I love whiskey. I'm going to go for a middly one, I think. I actually quite fancy that one. I'm going to go for...
Which one's that? We can't see you, so...
Stratheden, which is up East Coast. It's kind of Central Belt, East Coast, up towards Dundee, I think. I'm going to have that one. So that's what I'm drinking tonight.
Pour a little out, Ross. Pour a little out. Take a sip. Let us know what it tastes like.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Feel that burn in your throat.
Wait. Oh my God.
Bobby.
God. Oh, there we go.
You broke it.
No rush.
That's open. That's fine. I just need to let it breathe. Oh, it's very pale. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
It's very pale. It's actually a bloody enormous measure.
Probably an 8-year-old.
Yeah, this could be quite good. Hang on. Oh, fucking hell, it's strong.
That's what I said last night.
Yeah, it's quite strong, but it smells good. I'll see how it tastes. Let's see.
How do you know it's strong if you didn't even taste it yet?
Because I went up my nose and I was like, bloody hell. Oh, that's nice.
Did a quick snort.
No, it's good. It's good. Yeah, you snort it first. That's the way you check the age.
Like
no, it's really
cocaine.
good, actually. Really, really nice. Nice and smooth. Mm-hmm. I'm liking it.
I've lost the plot.
James, what are you drinking?
Give me a minute and get my... so I'm drinking an Aberlour, which is my wetting my whistle at the moment. And I'm having, if I can pronounce it properly, because it's Gaelic and I don't speak Gaelic, and it's Obana. something like that anyway. And it basically translates to origins in Gaelic, or Gaelic if you're Scottish. I think Gaelic's Irish, Gaelic's Scottish.
Yes. Yes.
It's probably not how you pronounce it. So, but it's nice. Yeah, it's not too strong. It's really good. I don't really know what to say about it. Aberlour is a beautiful distillery, beautiful town. You drive in one end, you smell the whiskey, and drive at the other end, you get shortbread. It's a big shortbread factory. And all I need now is a bit of shortbread that I could dip my whiskey into, and that would be just heaven.
Whoa, you dip food into your whiskey, so then you're drinking whiskey with like floating crumbs all
don't
throughout
do
it?
that. That's James being weird.
Whiskey, it's fine. I'm just thinking.
I can't even understand people who put biscotti into their coffee and then take a bite. And now you're talking about shortbread and whiskey? Ugh, yeah.
Talking about biscotti, have you ever seen this, like the spread, like like a chocolate spread, but it's biscotti spread? It's like a particular brand that does it. We just discovered that this week, and it's heroin. It's literally heroin. I
think they call it like cookie butter here in the States.
Is it cookie butter? Or it's like a biscotti flavor. So it's a particular company that makes biscotti biscuits. And Irish brought it home, and I just can't keep my fingers out of it.
Is it like speculous or speculum or something here?
Sorry, James, you can't keep your fingers out of what?
The cookie jar. No, the spread.
So what are you Americans drinking over there? Yeah.
I am not drinking anything because it's still middle of the afternoon here, and I'm getting ready to go meet with the bride and groom, and so I want to save my drinking for when I'm with them. But I'm happy
or
to be
for right after you're done with them.
Yes, I want to be the sober driver of this podcast today. This morning.
Good luck with that.
2 hands on the wheel over there, Dustin. I like it.
I'm trying. What about you, Steve? What do you got going?
I'm drinking a Wathens Kentucky bourbon. It's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, single barrel. Jen got it for me for my birthday. It's very good.
Nice one.
Yeah, I just got back from a trip down to Louisville. Kentucky's like where bourbon comes from in America. Bourbon being the finest sort of whiskey in the entire world, much better than anything Scotland or Ireland over there.
EY. Whiskey with EY.
Yeah, and we went to like a bourbon whiskey like tasting place, Old Forester, tried a bunch of whiskeys. It was delightful. It's fun. Now I feel like I actually know what I'm supposed to do, which I believe is just throw a bunch of ice in and hope that then I can drink it.
But you see, ice, and then this might be different, but ice with bourbon, rye is okay. It's fine. It's I've always drank rye or bourbon with ice. Same with like a really good quality tequila with some ice, but just don't do it with whiskey. Scottish whiskey.
Rye, I could see adding ice to. I just added ice to this one because I wanted something cold. I actually took most of the ice out and put it in my glass of water because I didn't want it to dilute the flavor. But bourbon's like a sweeter whiskey. You don't really want to dilute it too much.
Yeah. You're also drinking it in a Chivas Regal glass, which is just fucking disastrous.
Is that what it is? I did think that when I saw it.
That's a piece of piss.
Chivas Regal. Did you know that Chivas whiskey was originally distilled in Aberdeen, my big city?
Yeah. It's a blend, isn't it? It's not a malt Chivas Regal. It's a blend of lots of different shitty whiskies put into one place. Let's hope nobody from Chivas Regal's listening, but never mind.
Did we just lose Ross?
I think we lost Ross. Ross, have we lost you?
I'm still recording, so I'm gonna have to sort it out. Can you not hear me?
You sound like a robot. I think. Have you got your phone on again?
No.
I'm going to porn playing in the background.
No.
So now that we've got the talk about alcohol out of the way, we should probably turn over to some photography talk. I think it'd be nice.
If we must.
So, Dustin, do you want to talk about anything from the show notes? I added something just for you, buddy.
I saw that.
Because I know how much you're doing real estate photography now.
Doesn't really relate to me in the slightest, but I appreciate the effort, Stephen. Stephen was kind enough to find a story where a realtor snapped a selfie of himself getting a blowjob and uploaded it to the MLS as one of the photos for the house.
No.
And when the news article came out and questioned him, he did not deny that it was him, nor would he give them permission to use the photo in the news article. So they snapped a photo of their screen and used it in the news article.
Oh, jeez.
But, I mean, it's not like a photo he would have taken, like, on accident.
I can see James is copying the link. James is the way to look at the link.
Yeah, you see the photo there?
Yeah, I see it.
James, can you describe the photo for the listeners out there that don't have screens?
There is a screenshot of this man. Obviously, he's taking a photograph of himself in the mirror. There's a lady who you can see the black hair as she's bent over, and she's got some really nice flip-flops on the floor.
I think they're slippers.
And he's standing up with his white phone.
There's a lovely painting on the left-hand side over his butt cheek.
So I wanted to include this because we've been seeing a lot of crazy stuff going on in the real estate photography industry where people are doing like these videos where it's almost like people are about to have sex all throughout a house while they're dancing to music. We've been seeing videos where like people like dress up in like, or photos where people dress up in like crazy costumes and like hide in each one of the rooms throughout the house. All these things real estate realtors really are doing to try to like boost their reach in their areas.
Viral.
And so I'm just kind of wondering, did this guy do this on accident or do you think he did it on purpose?
If he did it on purpose, he's got balls.
And how can we apply that to our businesses?
Oh, no.
I think you just sneak in, Steve. I want you to be the pioneer. Sneak in you getting a blowjob into every wedding gallery you give to a bride, or even just a blog post, and just see how that impacts your business.
I mean, first I'd have to figure out how to get a blowjob. So
I have a story that could relate to this with weddings. We had a few years ago a wedding which was pretty wild. It was all bar owners, bar managers. It was insane. Lots of things that could not be photographed was going on. And while we were outside doing photographs of the couple, and they were getting all romantic, kissing, cuddling, the house that they were staying in the background, I was looking through the pictures and I'm like, what's that? And I zoomed into one of the pictures and there was this gentleman and this lady in the window, butt naked, having sex. And they were doing this deliberately. They were guests of the wedding. They were doing this deliberately, and half the photographs, they can be seen in the background actually having sex. And I showed the couple, they burst out laughing, they thought it was hilarious, they all waved to the couple then kind of disappeared and finished off what they're doing, and then the couple turned around and went, right, that's it, we're done, we're away to consummate, and then they disappeared and did it themselves, and I had to then sit and edit the pictures and take a window from another part of the building and put it in place of the couple having sex, and so that way the couple got both pictures. So the couple did split up like a couple months after the wedding as well. Not the married couple, the people having sex in the window.
Yeah. Do you guys get it? Can you hear me properly now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys get it at all when you're at weddings? I've seen this now more and more. Maybe just because I know to look for it. So maybe it's like after dinner. You've gone out, done your portraits with bride and groom. You've, coming back for the first dance type times, and then there's a couple of couples of you. Maybe it's a bridesmaid, and then her boyfriend, fiance is at the wedding as well, and they kind of come back to the table for dinner, for dancing time, and you're thinking you're a little more dishevelled than you were about 25 minutes ago before you left. And I'm seeing it more and more. I think lots of people sneak off during a wedding for a wee quickie and then come back in for the dancing. Like, I don't know if that's just me, but it might be.
Maybe you're, they see you, they're around your presence, Ross, and you just make people want to...
I inspire them.
Yeah.
Inspire them.
That raw animal magnetism.
It's that sex panther cologne you wear.
60% of the time. Works every time.
Dealing me, I'm not saying anything. No, we did have a couple once actually. We did the pictures and then they were like, oh, someone had surprised them with like some canopies and some champagne in this little old wooden not wooden, a brick house, like an outhouse, an old summer house, and then we left a couple down there, and we knew fine what they were going to get up to, because during the photo shoot they were all over each other, and as we were leaving back to the big house, her father was coming down looking for them and asked where they were. We decided to tell the father where they were. So he was when he came back, he just looked really awkward. So that was interesting. And then the bride bit me in the nipple that night. Different story.
Jesus Christ.
What happened to get to the point where the bride bites your nipple?
She was absolutely steaming.
What was your nipple doing on display?
It wasn't. No, she did it through like my shirt. And as I was leaving, she went to give me a hug, and she was at that height, and she just bit my nipple. I mean, she left bruise marks and teeth marks on the edge of, and I hate getting my nipples touched. It is. I punched people for touching my nipples before. I hate it. And
your nipples must be like 5'1".
Well, she was quite short, yeah, and he was quite tall as well. Yeah, she was quite short. She was so like she emailed me the next day apologizing, saying that someone had told her that she'd bit my nipple, and it
because
really
she didn't
hurt.
know. I heard. I'm just picturing that conversation. Like, oh, by the way, James, I heard through the grapevine that I bit your nipple. Like,
you bring that up.
If that's true that I salivated with my teeth on your nipple, I am so sorry.
Here's your wedding album, and here's part of my nipple. There you go. Thank you very much.
Did she draw any blood, or was it just bruising? Did she break the skin?
No, it didn't break. There was just bruising and a teeth mark.
Okay,
like two
so
teeth
you didn't have to go
yeah.
get rabies shots in your stomach or anything afterwards?
No, we don't have rabies in Scotland. No. We're okay.
See, this is your problem for working so late, because by the time you leave, they're all utterly shit-faced. Like, they can't even stand up, and you're like half one trying to get out, and they're trying to mount you at the side of the car. Do
you charge on an hourly basis, James? Because I know you've said multiple times you stay super late. You don't charge hourly? So you just have like one package, and that package is I'm there all day.
So
let's discuss James's package.
Well, my package is fairly extensive.
Apparently,
I come from I start usually around about 10 in the morning when the bridal prep's going on. They get married, say 1:30, and I'm under contract up to the buffet. So that's usually about 9:30, 10 o'clock. But most weddings I try to stay to the end, which is usually 12, 1 o'clock, somewhere between that, because we have that. I don't know if they do this in the States, and I'm sure if you've done weddings where they've got some sort of Scottish heritage, pretty much everyone in America, then what they do is everyone gets into a big circle. They'll play something like Loch Lomond or something like that by Run Rig, and everyone joins hands, and it's a bit like Auld Lang Syne, and they start singing, and then when it starts to get a bit more upbeat, the couple are in the middle, and then they start coming in and out, in and out, in and out. And
hang on. This is still the song.
Yeah.
It's still the song.
Oh, wait, okay. Yeah. So they come in and out, and then guys will jump in, pick up the bride, pick up the groom, throw them around the air. And it's just a really great moment to photograph. I love it. There's something about it. And then we'll go out and do night shots if they're not too drunk.
My God, you're about to cry. So emotional. No, it's so
emotional. All right, okay.
I was actually going to say, to be fair, your kind of signature almost now, your USP is now your night shots, which are not too shabby, if I do say so myself. They're pretty good, but they have to be done at like after 11 o'clock at least, don't they?
Oh, if it's a July wedding, you're looking at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. To get the stars, to get the kind of really dark sky.
Look, a wedding's not an 8-hour day. This is my philosophy, is that a wedding is not an 8-hour day, and our job is to capture a wedding. And I think we don't do it justice if we don't photograph the whole thing. So these photographers who are there for an hour before they get married to the first dance, or even the speeches here in the UK, they stay to the speeches. I just think it's a cop-out. I think it's a bunch of laziness for what they charge, and they only stay for a few hours. For what people are paying me, I'm more than happy to work my ass off while I'm still young enough to do it and stay to the end. And the couples love it. They absolutely love it. And they see the pictures, and everyone's drunk, and they're dancing and whatnot. I mean, don't get me wrong. The next day, I am ruined. Absolutely ruined.
God forbid you would actually have to do a doubler or even a tripler, James. That would be ridiculous. You would never consider the possibility of doing 3 in a row, would you?
No. That's a yes. I've got another one next year.
Yeah, I'm not part of that one. Not after the last one.
Actually, no, yes, you are, because one of them's down in Kinross. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Does James just roll up and take a nap like the second and third day and let his second shooter run it? Is that why you're not going to do it, Ross?
Exactly. He told me to be there at 9 a.m. and then James rocked up at 1:05 just as the ceremony was starting. I was like, for fuck's sake, where have you been?
He likes to guarantee they'll have somebody there all day. It's just not necessarily him.
It's just not James Kelly. This is the associate photographers.
See, for a second there, I thought we were going to have to like take up a collection to send James to business school. But now that I'm finding out how he runs his second shooters, it's like, oh, I understand. He's actually running a very smart business.
Because he's like, for what I get paid, I can pay other people to go there early and stay late. And then I just swing in for the night shots. Got it.
It's funny you should say that we've just taken on a new second shooter, Sabine. She's absolutely fantastic, and she's a graphic designer full time.
Whoa! You didn't run this past me. Is this us breaking up live on a podcast?
Yeah, you're done. Sorry.
I've just been. Does Louise know this?
Yeah. No. But I to be brutally honest, mate, your raw files from the Sony are just shit. So I have to stick with people who are Nikon. So suck it up, Buttercup. You should have stuck with Canon. So Sabine, her job photographing for one other photographer, she would just come and shoot the night. So she would come when this photographer would finish using around the speeches, and I think Sabine would come and start around like the first dance and photograph right through until 10 o'clock, and that was her job. She was doing that every weekend. So it's a good idea. I like the idea of it.
Yeah, it's just different. Like I was speaking to my brother at the weekend. He's getting married next June, and we were discussing like American photographers and stuff and different rates. We actually used the guys over at Jimmy and stuff as examples as well as you guys, and they're saying like even the money. Some of the guys in sort of New York, and they're going to a wedding up in New York next year, and it's like $4,500 minimum. Like they won't even get out of bed for less than like a deposit. Would be more than $2,000 and stuff. It's just different. We work hard. You guys don't. That's just what it is.
I think we work smart.
We just like getting paid to work hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair point.
So I got a story for you guys about something that happened to me at a recent wedding.
Personal story about Stephen Van Elk.
So Jen and I were shooting a wedding. And I took a photo of a guy. It's one of those things at the reception where like a guy just randomly sees you walking around. He's like, "Hey, take a photo of me right now. Take a photo." And you're just like, "Okay, I guess." And so I take a photo of this guy, and I'm at a wedding, and reception time, using off-camera flash. Like I don't even have a flash on top of my camera. It's just three of them around the dance floor. And the guy comes up to me following the photo to ask why I hadn't popped my flash up and used flash while shooting him and his friend. And I said, I did use flash. And then he started to explain to me what a flash for a camera was and kept asking again and again if I needed to retake the photo with flash this time. And I just smiled and nodded. And every time he said the word flash, as he just kept going on, I pressed the shutter button on my camera and I flashed him in the eyes with my off-camera flash. Because it was clear he wasn't listening to a word I was saying. He finally said to me, "You're just nodding and smiling, aren't you?" And I replied and said, "Yep, you got me." Then he asked if I even knew what a flash was, and I hit the shutter button one last time and flashed him in the eyes, right as he was saying flash, and then I walked away. And while I was culling the wedding, I saw the photo I had taken of him and his friend, and I thought to myself, I could include it in the final photos I send to the bride and groom, so he would hopefully, finally, understand that I knew what I was doing. But instead I just chucked it in the bin because fuck that guy.
I hate those people.
As a side note, he wasn't like in the bridal party. He wasn't a part of the family or anything like that. He was just like some random dude who's like, "Yo, take my picture. Take my picture."
Have you asked nicely, "Please, sir, can you take my photograph?" I hate people like that. It's when you take a picture and you just know it's for their Tinder profile or Gaydar or something like that.
Gaydar.
It's yeah. You never heard of Gaydar? No.
No. Is that a real thing?
Grindr? You mean Grindr?
Yeah, maybe I don't know if it's a British thing. It was like pre-Tinder, I believe. But
genuinely, my cameras haven't for about 5 years had a pop-up flash.
Neither do mine.
The 7D. My 7D was the last one I had.
Your 7D had a pop-up flash? I have a 7D. It doesn't have a pop-up flash.
I think it did. The Canon 7D. I'm sure it did. Because you could trigger remote optical ones with it. I'm sure I did that.
Maybe I've just never used it. That could be it.
But that was years ago. Like I haven't had them. Like the 5D didn't have it, the 1D didn't have it, the Sonys don't have it. It's mental. My
D810 and the D850s have flash, which is just stupid because pop-up flashes, they're just ridiculous. And then you drop your camera and smash it, and then it costs you like an extra 400 quid to get fixed because it's got a pop-up flash.
Well, you could just be more careful with your shit.
Or you could just send it in and be like, actually, don't fix the flash. I don't need that.
I don't use it.
So the reason I wanted to share the story about the guy I kept flashing in the face with my off-camera flash, I was curious, what's the pettiest thing you guys have done at a wedding recently? Because that's mine.
James.
That's the pettiest thing I've done.
Stolen a bride's perfume? No, you've not done that, James, have you?
I haven't stolen a perfume. I took a picture of a girl and she demanded to see the back of it. And this is going back to my younger days where I get this bad habit from. And she looks at the picture and she turns around and says, "Your photographs make me look ugly." And I just turn around and say to her, "No, honey, you're just ugly."
Oh, jeez.
And then go to explain how the camera records light and it's just a reflection of your face. But they're so drunk that they don't get it, And the key thing to doing it is you do it with a smile on your face. So they think that you're joking.
Well, they're clearly not listening to you. They're just not listening.
No, they don't, or the time that I told that.
So I've heard when you smile while you talk, people can hear that in a podcast. Yeah. So James, I just want you to put a big smile on your face right now and just deliver that line about how, "No, honey, it's just that you're ugly." So we can see the difference, or hear the difference, I mean.
Okay. So
big smile.
I need to get into my method acting here. So the girl turned around and says in the camera, "You make me look ugly." And I turn around and say to the girl, "No, honey, you just look ugly." Simple as that. Or how about the time that I told the granny that I was going to stick the iPad up her ass?
I was going to say mine was to do with iPads and people one wouldn't put it down. I was just like, that is the same thing. You didn't talk about. No, you're not going to talk about that. No. That would be the pettiest thing, but never mind. Can't talk about that, James.
Can anyone else hear Ross, or is it just my side of things that's just really rubbish?
Oh, it's real rubbish over here too.
Hello? Is it?
Yeah, Ross, I think your internet's crap. I thought you got fibre.
I did get fibre.
Can you please turn off the porn that you're streaming in the background?
Very funny.
Turn Pornhub off, okay?
But I'm subscribed. I pay for it.
He's just wasting that money if he turns it off, James. He's got to get his money's worth. He isn't on a 24/7 loop.
I know. It's a live feed. It's like the episode of Friends. They don't want to be the guys that turn off the free porn.
I love it. Sorry, Ross, what were you saying before? Because we couldn't hear you because you were...
Well, you can clearly hear me now, so...
Yes.
I can hear you now, yeah.
I can't remember. It was about your iPad thing. It was about your iPad with the granny shoving up her ass.
Yeah.
Okay.
I asked her if she could get me lube or Vaseline from the reception so I could insert her iPad somewhere.
Too much.
Wow.
Too much.
You said that to someone at a wedding?
To an auntie, yeah. She had a good sense of humour.
Did she laugh?
Yeah, she did. She was following me everywhere, and then it came to the portraits, and I turned around and said to her, I says, "Could you do me a favour?" And she says, yeah, what is that? I says, "Could you run to the reception, ask them if they've got any WD-40 or some Vaseline?" And she goes, "What do you need that for?" I says, "I'm going to stick that iPad somewhere if you don't jog on." You do a smile on your face. You just, you have that cheek. Oh, not everyone can get away with it, but, you do it with a smile on your face. So, yeah.
Wow.
What's that? Why are there police coming into your house right now, James?
I've been swatted.
James, they're holding up a giant warrant that says under arrest for lewd conduct and words.
And words.
I don't know what you would get in trouble for in the UK. Harassment.
harassment.
That's the same. It means the same in the Americas as it does in the UK.
Inappropriate use of an Apple product.
Funny story. Going completely off topic. We just had a triple wedding weekend, and on the Sunday, Louise, who is my wonderful, talented second shooter, my first second shooter.
You're just saying all that because she listens.
Does she? Fuck. She doesn't listen.
Yeah, probably. She probably doesn't listen, to be honest. And she had to go to the guys' room. There were 6 guys and her in this one small room, and she was photographing them. She phones me up, and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" She goes, "We have a slight problem." Okay, what is it? She goes, "We're locked in the room."
Oh, yeah,
What do you mean you're locked in the room? She goes, "The lock in the room on the door has broken, and we can't get out." So I was like, "Okay, well, you phoned reception." She goes, "Yeah, reception are trying to get a locksmith to come out." Now we're about, I don't know, a 20 minute, half an hour drive away from the big city of Aberdeen. And they're waiting to find out if they can get a locksmith to come out and open the door. An hour goes by and still no locksmith. Luckily, someone managed to throw a screwdriver up to the window. And this is in like a really old kind of building, so it's really quirky. And they had to unscrew all the locks so she could get out, so they could all get out. So there was her and 6 guys locked in a room with a camera and some kilts.
And some kilts.
Sounds
What
like
are you
the start of a
insinuating?
porno. Nothing at all.
I'm just worried about Dustin over there. How's the sober driver in this whole proceedings? Are you doing okay over there, Dustin?
Dustin, come on.
Fabulous.
What's the pettiest thing you've done at a wedding?
Pettiest
Come on, Dustin.
thing I've done at a wedding? I'm not
Let
a
down
very
those walls.
petty
This
photographer.
is a safe space. You can talk about anything here.
No one
Not-
knows. No one's listening.
Nothing really comes to my mind. I'm so sorry, guys.
It looks like he's talking, but I don't hear
Yeah, it does
anything.
look like he's talking.
Dustin, did you
Can you
mute
not hear
yourself?
anything?
There goes
Oh,
Dustin.
He's gone.
Dustin's
He's gone.
just,
Oh, well, anyway.
Dustin's
So,
just gone. No,
in the meantime-
Dustin was disenjoying our chat so much.
Ross, is there anything that you've done or said?
I was going to say there was a shot. It was quite recently. The mum wanted a particular picture, and it's just a photo I don't like taking. It's just a photo of the bride standing outside the house. It was bright daylight, bright sunlight. It was horrible. And he's back.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear him.
we
okay.
can hear him.
Okay, Ross,
Okay.
continue on
I
with
was
your story.
talking
We'll
that whole time.
we'll get back to Dustin's petty story next.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I said to the bride at the time, I said, like, this is a bit, it'll be okay, but we'll just do this one because it's your mum that wants it. And I actually kind of edited it a little bit shit. Like deliberately, just when I gave it to her, I was like, "Look, remember that photo? Your mum didn't really work out, and this is why." Just because I was annoyed, because the mum just kept going on and on and on about it, and she was like, "You got to take this photo. Remember about this photo, right? Remember to get that photo." I was like, "Fuck's sake!" And I just pushed the exposure up a couple of stops and was like, "Yeah, it was just really bright outside. Like it was just." But yeah, I might give him a black and white one as well.
Get a black and white eye.
Dustin, what was your petty story you're going to share with us?
Like I was trying to tell you guys earlier, I don't really have anything. I'm a real above the boards kind of photographer. I treat all of my
Boy Scout.
clients like family, honestly.
It's like
So
Olive
do I.
Garden when you're here, your family with Dustin.
Exactly. My clients are my breadsticks.
Well, you dip them in hummus.
We don't have hummus at Olive Garden.
He takes a bite out of each one, right out of the nipple.
No, it's you haven't like got really angry with a guest or being very sarcastic.
Just a podcast guest, probably, but nothing.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. That's the whole reason we do this podcast, so we can let our true self show.
This is probably why
Yeah.
you're so established and
Okay, here's a new question. Have you ever had apart from me and James, obviously you're not allowed to use us for this answer, and you're not allowed to say the people's names in case they listen, but have you had podcast guests on before that have just not really worked out? That's been a bit...
Oh, all the time.
yeah, that you don't air.
So they're not part of your family. They're not your breadsticks.
No, we had one guest on who was sick, and he tried to like make it work, and we were able to edit together an episode that was good from it, but like he was just out of it the whole time, and it was just one of those things at the end where it's like, if you're that sick, like why didn't you just reschedule? Like we would have been fine with it. Like I actually felt bad at the end because it wasn't really his fault. He was sick, but it was a lot of editing work for me coming up with something useful.
Have you ever shot a wedding sick?
Yes,
the
multiple
yes.
times.
Oh, that's a good story.
It's
I've got a good
the
story about that.
worst.
Oh, Ross has a good story. I want to hear that.
So I went to. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this all the way through. But I went to my wee brother was up the night before, and we went to a rugby match. I was working the next day, so I didn't have a spot to drink. Genuinely, no alcohol passed my lips at all. But we got home from the game and we hadn't had dinner, so we were just like, it was like 9:30 at night, and we were like, what are we going to do? We went to the local. Do you guys have chippies?
Nope.
Fish and chips.
Fish and chips? A chip shop? No, a fast food joint.
We have those.
We have
many
those.
of those.
We have Long John Silver's. They serve fried fish and French fries, as we call them.
That sounds exactly pretty much. So we went there. Okay, I ended up getting a battered sausage. It's just a sausage.
So you went
covered.
to a fish and chips place and got battered sausage?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So had this, ate it, went to bed. I didn't feel great when I went to bed, but I just had a pile of greasy food. That was fine. Woke up about 6:30 in the morning, violently sick. Violently sick for about 15 minutes. Went back to bed, woke up about 8 o'clock in the morning, violently sick again. I had to leave at 9 o'clock to go to the bride's house. And like I'd spewed 3 times before I left the house. Sorry, spewing is, what do you call it? Throwing up? Or
No,
like
spewing
bulking?
works here too.
Spewing. Oh, cool. Yeah, excellent. So yeah, managed to get to the bride's house. Actually, when I got there, I don't remember the journey. It's a 40-minute drive. Don't remember a single bit of it. Not at all. Don't know how I got there. Got there, and when I got there, I was actually fine because I was doing stuff. And then when she got to the point where she was just putting her dress on, I said, right, I'll step out. I'll wait next door for you just to kind of get into the dress. And sat down, and at that point, suddenly a bit dizzy, a little bit kind of sweaty, a little bit clammy. I was like, oh my God, this is not going well. Luckily, I was just in the hotel room next door. Quickly into the bathroom, into their ensuite, spewed in the toilet in there a couple of times. Went back into the bride's room to shoot her kind of finishing getting into her dress, and I was white as a sheet. I mean, I was properly green.
You're already white.
Yeah, exactly from Scotland. I already told her I wasn't feeling well, and she said to me, she was like, you've just been sick, haven't you? And I was like, I'm really, really sorry, but I feel really good now. I did the rest of the day. I went for a nap just after the family group shots. She said to me, just go and take like 15 minutes and go and lie down. Had a nap, and then I felt fine from then, but it was absolutely, I mean, that was hideous. I wouldn't want to wish that on anyone. Horrible, no. Horrible.
When it comes out the other end, you know, when you're at the bride's house and you need to go to the bathroom and you know it's not going to be pleasant.
No.
It's just
I don't understand
the worst thing.
What's wrong with that?
So
you just take care of business, right?
Yeah. In the bride's house or the bride's mother's house, you need to go to the bathroom. There's no air freshener. They find out there's no window in the bathroom, and you need to go to the bathroom. And it's probably the only bathroom in the whole house.
What's worse than that? What's worse than that is when they're like getting ready at some sort of like small Airbnb type situation, and there's only one bathroom, and it's like a 1-bedroom apartment type scenario. And you show up and you're like, you just drove 2 hours to get there, and you're like, oh, I just had that big
3
pot of coffee.
Before,
yeah. And you like walk in like, oh, I'm just going to use the bathroom at their house. And you walk in like, oh, there's one bathroom. There's like 5 bridesmaids in that bathroom getting ready. And you're like, excuse me, ladies, can I just real quick? And
no, you don't, do you?
Once. There's always that once.
No.
And then now you learn, and you go to the bathroom before you get there.
Do you find a hole somewhere outside? Use that rather than use a bathroom.
I'm guessing none of those bridesmaids have subsequently booked you for their weddings.
Nope.
That's 5 bookings gone.
Nor did they finish getting ready in that bathroom afterwards.
Stinging eyes.
Oh my God, it's chewy. What is that?
So, but then how do you play that off, though? Do you walk out like, God, what were you girls doing in here? I could barely stand. Do you turn the blame over?
Could you not have a courtesy flush?
You just walk right out of the room and you leave your wife in there alone. And you just let them do whatever they want. Say whatever they want, you know?
Gotcha.
I love it.
Jen and I shot a wedding one time where we were both sick the week of the wedding. And she was like sick 2 days before. It wasn't the flu, but it was like flu-like symptoms. And so the day of the wedding, I was super sick, and we couldn't find a second shooter to replace me. So I just went with her and shot it. And I think I was on 9 different over-the-counter drugs to try to regulate myself throughout the day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad. I was I think I had like Pepsid, AC, ibuprofen, Tylenol.
Oh my god, your stomach's going to be in bits.
And then I had I had like the anti-diarrheal stuff. Yeah, and then a bunch of caffeine things because I was super tired and I had to stay awake. And honestly, the
You're a
wedding,
zombie.
Yeah, it was not great, but I took one of like my favorite photos of all time at that wedding, so I feel like it was a win for me.
It was a win. So anyway, enough of diarrhea and sickness and
Yeah, let's move on from that, please.
So a few weeks ago, I was shooting a wedding. About 30 seconds before the toast start, the mother of the bride came up to my second shooter and said she wanted us to do table photos of all the tables.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So the schedule at most weddings, I don't know how it works in the UK, but here in America, when toasts start, it's basically like you do toasts, you do the cake cutting, or you do cake cutting then toasts, one of those 2 different ways. Immediately after the toast or the cake cutting, whichever comes second, you go into your dances, and then it's open dancing for the rest of the night. So 30 seconds before the toast starts, she comes up and says, I would love to get table photos of all the tables.
Right.
Meaning that she wanted us to go around, I guess, in the next 30 seconds to do photos of all the tables at the wedding. So my second shooter came up and told me this, and I just said to her, well, that's not going to happen, obviously. What would you guys have done in that situation? Because I said I'm not doing it.
I would have just looked at her, handed over my camera and gone, on you go. Go on now. There you go. You go take the pictures. Simple as that. Give her the camera. If you can do it, brilliant. I ain't going to do it. We do that in the Faroes. The weddings in the Faroes, we'll have like 250, 300 people, and we've got to go around everyone when they're having their meal to take
That's the shittest photos ever. People sitting down with drinks in the way, stuff. It's just shit. Everybody's it's super wide. It's like 16 mil, so the people at the edge look about 45 stone. No,
well, it's also at the reception, which is like pitch black, basically. So you're typically shooting at like f2 or lower with your aperture. And it's like, how am I going to get all these people in focus unless I have them stand in a straight line behind the table?
See, we never do like the traditional like table group shots. I do the couples at every table.
Yeah.
And I try to time it where I hit every table as it's being released to go get dinner.
As someone who shot with you several times before, I've never once seen you do that.
Well, I throw that out the window when I'm doing video because then there's too much going on to try and do table shots.
See, I throw table shots out the window just every single time if I can because I hate doing table shots. Try to never do them. It's the worst.
The beauty about the UK is you don't they do the speeches, which I think you guys call toasts. We have toast in the morning, but you guys we do. We have the speeches, and then at that point, I just go and put my cameras down and sit and have a break. I don't offer any photography during the meal because who the hell is going to want a photo of me with my mouth full?
We don't do photography during the meal either, unless people ask for table photos. In which case, we go to the tables and we're like, okay, bunch together on one side of the table, or everybody look at me.
Okay,
but we do a really okay, I shouldn't say we do. I do. Jen probably does a great job when she does it, but when I do it, it's just so half-assed because I hate doing it so much.
I tell you, here's something worse. Do you guys do something in America called a lineup?
No.
Lineup.
It's the worst thing. You would love to do table photos after you've done a lineup.
So picture this, right? You got the bride and groom, and if it's a proper lineup, you got the bride and groom, you got the mother and father of the bride and mother and father of the groom on the line, okay? Sometimes with the bridesmaids, sometimes with the best men, and they stand in a line, and as all the guests, before they come for the meal, they've got to walk into the room and they've got to shake the hands and say hello to all those members. And it's usually, oh, hi, how are you?
Oh, a receiving line.
Nice to see you. Receiving line. Yeah, we call it lineup.
That's what we call that.
They're the worst things ever. They're so boring to photograph.
In America, they typically do those at the end of the ceremony, not at the beginning of the reception.
Really? Okay.
That's just, I hate them. I absolutely hate them.
No.
Yep.
We always got to we go to the bride and groom and just say, thank you for coming, and just tell them, as soon as they want to hug you or start talking, just usher them to the board where they can see where they're sitting. And the bride and groom don't want to do it.
When a bride tells us they're doing a receiving line, I thank them. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was hoping you were going to do a receiving line because A, I wanted an opportunity to take a quick nap after that Catholic Mass.
Catholic Mass, you could take a quick nap in the middle of that thing. You know what I'm talking about? It's like an hour and a half ceremony.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Two naps? I mean, come on, win. And B, I wanted something to blame the fact that we would be late to the reception on. So now I have that reason when all the guests give me that really nasty look when we roll in 30 minutes late to the reception. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like,
receiving line.
Shouldn't have done that receiving line. Shouldn't have felt the need to share that story for 10 minutes in line with them. Sorry.
I pet hate the moment. I don't know if you have this in the US, but singing fucking waiters.
Oh God, they're killer. They
What?
I'm sorry.
Do you have?
That's a thing at a wedding, not at like a novelty restaurant.
Yeah.
Oh, singing fucking waiters. So you picture this: the dessert's just gone out. Everyone's tucking into their sticky toffee pudding, and this waiter, who is obviously dressed differently from all the other waiters, walks in carrying like a metal wine cooler with forks and knives and trips in front of the bride and groom. Oh my God, he fell over. Is he okay? Oh, look, he has a microphone. And he breaks into Robbie Williams' We Will Rock You. And then there's another one comes in and they start singing and then everyone's up in the chairs. And then you have half an hour.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to interject with what's not a really shit version of the Aberdeen singing waiters, which is clearly what James is describing.
These are classic.
The ones I've seen down here, they actually serve the meal and they're dressed the same as the waiters, and then at some point they do whip out a microphone. But the ones I've seen, they always do like the kind of That's Amore and kind of like
they do
songs.
opera,
One of the ones I've seen are actually pretty good. They had the entire like nearly 200 people up on their chairs, up on their tables, swinging napkins about. It was a nightmare to photo, but it was actually pretty good at the time.
Was he a bald guy?
Yes, and the woman had like blonde hair. Old guys. They were quite good. They were quite good, but Robbie Williams.
Half an hour more of taking pictures. Videographers hate it.
Yeah,
and the videographers we had.
Yeah.
We had it a couple of weeks ago, and the videographers were getting annoyed because they were running out of all their memory cards were full, and they still had like the first dance to do. And you got these singing waiters who have people standing on the chairs swaying napkins and.
Is this not something that's planned ahead of time?
No one knows about it. So
usually it's a surprise.
Who's doing this surprise?
Yeah, who's doing the surprise? Like the waiters? It's just a posse of waiters that just surprise these weddings.
Well, I had one where the bride organised it, and it was a surprise, but only because she wanted to sing with them. Because she
why didn't the bride tell the photographer though?
Oh no, I knew about half an hour. I knew about half an hour beforehand. But she only really wanted to do it because she wanted to sing, and she was a bit of a kind of show off.
We had the bride's mother organise it, and only myself and the venue knew about it. And it turns out she paid for this guy to come up from Glasgow, so 3.5 hour drive. He did a half an hour set during the meal. Of course, everyone doesn't get to eat the sticky toffee pudding, and it gets cold and melted and shite like that, and I eat it. So what then happens is you do that, and then the guy was like, "Oh yeah, and I'm doing an hour set." After the first dance. So the bride and groom had paid for the band to play from, say, 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock, and then from 11 until 12:30. And the singing waiter comes along, and he's now made everything late because he has to do his half an hour fucking set. And now the first dance is until 8:30, 8:45, because the band couldn't get set up because of this bloody singing waiter. And then he's got to do his hour set. So then the band play for 20 minutes, then the buffet comes out, and then they play for an hour, and then they feck off home.
Where's the wedding planner in all this? Where's the coordinator?
What was it?
I was going to say a wedding planner?
Is that not a thing in the UK?
Not really.
I know it's not a thing in Fort Wayne, but...
Yeah, we don't have those here.
We have event managers, but they're usually good. But some venues are meant, like the caterers will have an event coordinator, and they're utter useless.
See, an event manager, from my perspective, is somebody who just takes care of the venue and the like event space. It's not somebody who's worried about the day of the wedding. Whereas like a wedding planner organizes the entire day. And if somebody were to hire a singing waiter, they would know about it and they'd have like a heads up to the band and to everybody else. And if they thought it was something they needed to say to like the bride and groom, hey, you guys told me you hated singing waiters. Somebody wants to surprise you with one. They would tell the bride and groom so that they could say no to that ahead of time.
Oh, if only that was the case.
Yeah, that shit doesn't exist in the UK. That's just not, that doesn't have it.
If we have a wedding and there's no one there running the show, we end up having to take over. We have to take over the timings. We have to make sure that everything runs smoothly because someone is incapable of doing their job, or the bride and groom decided not to pay the extra, whatever it is, to do, have an event manager.
Try doing a wedding in Northern Ireland. I did one in Northern Ireland a couple of years ago, and it was the most laid back, but too laid back. It was about 9:45, I think, when the first dance started, because the wedding coordinator guy, the event manager, whatever the hell you want to call him, waste of space, waste of oxygen. He couldn't do his job. He was just standing around. He was like, going to announce them on the fucking dance floor, would you? He was awful. He was absolutely awful.
We had that earlier on this year, and it was our last day of work, and she could not give a shit. And the cake was melting, and I said to her, look, after they cut the cake, before speeches, you need to take the cake away. If you don't, it's going to fall. And she didn't. And I'm standing next to the cake, watching this cake as it's slowly starting to tilt more and more. And halfway through the speeches, I could see it picking up momentum, and I just leaned over and grabbed it before it fell. And it was like a really nice cake, but it was like a Marvel theme one, and the centerpiece was like a green Hulk fist made out of chocolate Rice Krispies. So it was all green, and I grabbed the Hulk fist before it fell into the floor. And everyone at the wedding gave me a round of applause. Oh, I wish I ate it. It would be so cool. It was made of chocolate Rice Krispies.
Everybody at the wedding gave you a round of applause, and then watched as you just licked all the frosting off of your arm. And then they applauded again.
Yeah. And like the couple, like, were at the end of the night, they're so thankful that Louise and I took control the whole day, the timings, because this woman just didn't care. Just sad.
That is sad.
We rocked it.
Not good.
And I charged him extra.
I charged him extra. Well, they had to pay for the dry cleaning, get all the frosting out of his shirt. The frosting he couldn't lick out,
Oh, it's on my fingers. Yep.
Do you guys want to do some Q&A?
Bloody hell.
Q&A. I'm just going to top up my whiskey.
Let's do some Q&A.
But Steve. Yep, Sally Psycho from our very own Facebook group just finished pics from a ceremony inside one of those huge churches with yellow lighting, orange wood pews, and less than optimal back spotlighting behind the couple in the sanctuary. No flash rules, of course. And I was told to shoot from 200 feet away up in the balcony only. Yeah, it's all good though. Nothing too unusual for church ceremonies down south. It was kind of rough going in Lightroom, but I think I've worked it out. Yeah, I'm not sure, so I Googled the church to see examples of how other wedding photographers have handled difficult color lighting. Was curious to see if my pics looked okay in comparison. Laugh out loud. Nearly every single other wedding portfolio only showed the ceremony in black and white. Don't get me wrong, I get it. The black and white pics make sense because the colors and the lighting are real bare to deal with. Looks like I'm the only one who's even attempted to show a wedding at this church in color. But yikes. Anyone else do this sort of thing? Check your work against others at the same venue?
It's the longest question ever, by the way.
With less than optimal lighting conditions when trying to edit a wedding? That's the question. No.
It's my answer. No.
Yeah, hard pass on that. Don't care what other people did.
Yeah, I don't look, because if you look, you're going to either be influenced by what they're doing, or you're going to be pissed off because it looks really good and yours might not look as good. Or I just don't look. I don't want to see. Is this? Did she look beforehand or did she look after she was editing?
She looked after.
Oh, okay.
See, I don't want to look because I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen is I'm going to look, I'm going to see photos, I'm not going to like the way they look, and then I'm going to be like, why the hell did the venue choose those to put on their website when I said they could use mine? And then I'll be pissed off about that. I'm not concerned about like feeling bad about my own photos because I'm comfortable and secure with my work. I'm concerned about being pissed off at other vendors.
Which is surprising in its own regard.
Yeah, that just really annoys me when that happens.
What, Steve being comfortable with his own work?
I'm comfortable with my own work, but it's just where a venue or supplier just shares a really, let's be honest, shit photograph taken from another wedding. It's like, what's wrong with mine? Why can't you use mine? Is mine not good enough? Are you trying to say that picture that is on that website is better than my picture?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Oh man, I had that happen this last week where a venue near us shared a bunch of photos from a wedding that one of our friends had actually shot there. And that friend does really good work, but for some reason the venue shared all these photos where it wasn't you, Dustin. The venue shared all these photos where like the couple wasn't looking at the camera, and it was like these look like the shots the person would have thrown away or not used. Like, why are these the ones that are being used on their website and their Instagram and all that kind of stuff? James, what are you just holding your phone up for?
Yeah, what are you? I couldn't see it.
I don't know if you heard or if you'll pick it up, but there was an almighty scream coming from outside, and it seems that we've been getting plagued by these massive house spiders. And my other half absolutely hates one, and one was actually lying right next to her in her bed last night, and it seems to have come back because I didn't put it far enough away. And I need to go and capture this spider, and I'd probably kill it, to be honest, because it keeps coming back, and it's big. It's really big. So, excuse me.
So you're nipping off for, a couple of minutes to...
Yeah, a couple of minutes to deal with the spider, not my missus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, deal with the spider.
We'll see you in a few minutes, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Oh dear.
Do you guys ever Google venues not to see your work compared to theirs, but to see if you can rank for that for search engine optimization?
I can still hear James's conversation about the spider in the background.
It sounds like he's getting yelled at for talking about it on the podcast.
Thanks. I got someone to do my SEO options for me, so I don't tend to look because I got someone to kind of sort that all out because that's what he does as a living. That's what he specialises in, and he said to me, "Mate, your stuff's all over the show. Like, you need to sort your shit out." So he basically sorted it for me. So I probably should look at it again because that was a couple of years ago. So yeah, good reminder actually. Thanks for that.
What's his name?
Franco, he's a Glaswegian guy. I suppose he works. He'd work internationally, I'm sure. I'll pass his details over.
Glaswegian.
Yeah, Glas, not glass. There's not two S's in Glasgow. See, when people call it Glasgow, it pisses me off. Glasgow. It's like Edinburgh. It's not Edinburgh, but we talked about that last time.
Steve, do you have a question you want to tackle, or are we waiting for James to come back?
I'm kind of interested to see what happens with the spider. I'm also kind of wondering like how high I have to turn my volume so I can hear everything James is being yelled at for right now.
Yeah. All I heard was a screech and a squawk and I can't believe you.
Well, we wait for him. Lori Ostrowski from our very own Facebook group asks, "Hey, Dustin, would you mind telling us your Insta story secret? The templates look great. Is this an app? Is it time consuming? I need to step up my Insta game, but I'm lazy."
I think I answered this in the Facebook.
Yeah, but not everybody who listens to podcasts is in the Facebook group, Dustin. That's why I wanted to bring it up here.
Well, that sounds like their problem. My answer is get a kick-ass studio manager that knows what she's doing.
Do you guys, Ross, James, you guys do Insta stories for your weddings and stuff like that when you post them?
No, but I did see someone, I presume, I've not seen yours, Dustin, but I presume describing exactly what that question's talking about. I saw one recently and it was like a blog post but put onto Insta stories. It looked really smart. I have to say I might think about doing it because it looks pretty cool. Don't think I've seen James do it. James, you do it? Or how's your spider?
What was that, sorry?
How do you do your Insta stories?
But wait, what about the spider?
Oh, yeah.
Spider. It's massive and it's gone. It's gone under the stairs. It's likely going to crawl upstairs. Iris is currently standing on top of a chair, freaking out, saying how she's going to go downstairs at my mum and dad's.
Just burn your house down.
Boy,
she would if she could.
She's so scared of the spider, she wants to stay with the in-laws?
Yeah. Well, my parents rock. But it's huge, and we found it in James's room, our son's room. My son's James as well. The day there, she freaked. I was walking out with the dog. I had to come back to get rid of it, and then she was going to bed, and I took it out. I threw it out the house, got rid of it, and then we were going to bed last night. She'd been in bed and feeding the baby, and then she went to go to the bathroom, and she came back, and as she was going back to bed, she just screamed the house down like you thought someone had been murdered. And there's a spider, and it is massive in terms of UK spiders, sitting at the edge of her bed, and she's freaked and she's scared, and of course as she screamed, it then bolted across the bed, crawled over the baby. And then I had to run downstairs and get a glass and some paper so I could pick it up and take it outside. And I took it down to the end of the garden, which a good bit away, and it seems to have found its way back in today.
Oh dear.
You gotta take it like at least a mile away, right?
Something like that, yeah. You go quite a big distance away from it, but it's also quite funny.
I'm cutting that part out of the podcast and sending it straight to Iris. So, James, do you do any like weird template stuff for your Insta stories?
I did. I tried for a little while, and to be honest, it was just too much effort. We'll share a picture, but no, we don't tend to do too much. There's some photographers out there that do it really well. What's his name? Jose Villa?
Oh, Jose Villa. He does everything pretty well, to be fair, but.
Yeah, his Insta stories are really good, but I find if you end up doing too much, it becomes people get a bit annoyed at it if you keep doing it, you know. No. I love doing Instagram lives at weddings, on the day of the wedding and things like that at night time. But and if I put a picture up, I'll share it. But I should really do more. But to be honest, I don't want to.
Jen has like an app she uses to do like the whole template blog post sort of thing, like Ross and Dustin were talking about doing. Mm-hmm. And she's done it a few times, and I tried to do it one time and I was just like, this is so much work. Instead of picking out one photo, now I have to pick out like 8 photos, and I have to plan out like a progression story wise. And I just hated it so much that I was like, I'm good with just doing like one photo for my story when I do like a blog post or whatever. And for a while I tried this thing where I was doing like whenever we'd blog a wedding, I would take each one of the vendors and I'd like put up a photo of the cake and I'd tag the vendor in the story and include like a blog link. So like people could swipe up and go to the blog post, you know? Yeah. And that worked really well for getting better engagement from the vendors. And it also worked pretty well for getting like more people going to the blog and more people, just engaged with the story to begin with. But it was so much work. I'd spend like an hour like tracking down like vendor like tags and shit like that just so I could make sure like, I have to find like 10 different photos of different details to post and then tag these vendors to. But like vendors would reach out to us and be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. We love that. And it just didn't feel like it was worth it though.
Moral of the story.
We tag all the suppliers in every picture that we upload. So we've got a list. So we ask our couples to tell us what suppliers they're using. We've got a database of all the suppliers on their social media, and we tag and we mention all the suppliers in every post. And that's been amazing. That's been really good.
That's what I need to do. I need to add the social media to our database because like with every blog post we include like all the vendors down at the bottom, and then I tag them when I post stuff to Instagram and Facebook, but I don't have like their handles saved anywhere. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense.
Do you not schedule your pictures?
Sometimes, not always.
I do.
I'd have to schedule the blog post if I was going to schedule the picture that goes up with the blog post.
Yeah.
Especially like for the story stuff.
Yeah.
James, what do you use to schedule
So
your stuff?
I actually use two softwares. I should only use one, but you have Buffer App. So I use Buffer App for scheduling most things. But I also have one called Planoly. So it's Planoly. I can easily give someone a referral code if they want. And the good thing about that is it shows you what your Instagram is. That one's only for Instagram, sorry. And you can only see... You can see what your Instagram feed's going to look like, so you can plan it out and lay it all out. And we do 3 pictures from the same photo shoot or same wedding every day. So at the moment, we've got about a year and a half's worth of social media all lined up to go online.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's insane. So I've had someone working on it.
Night and day for the last 3 months. Someone's been working on this. Jeez.
Pretty much, yeah. So...
Do you see any return on that? Is it good? Like, are you getting more contacts through Instagram as a result?
Yeah, we're getting a lot more people. We get people, I notice that people who contact me, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, things like that. So, you see both of it. So we have a lot of pictures going on Facebook, and we don't have the same photographs on Facebook that goes on Instagram. It's always different. So, if you go onto my Instagram, which is James Kelly _photo, that you will see that 3 pictures is each wedding or each photo shoot or something like that. So it's a bit of a pain, and we have pictures going up every day, but by the end of the day, it's the same all the way through. So it's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of work to do, and we tag all the suppliers in the text. So we use Planoly and we schedule. It's not like $100 a year or something for it, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So that's what.
But you're still using Buffer as well.
Buffer, yeah. So use Buffer for. I like to buffer for Facebook for my group.
James loves to overspend in his photography business.
Sorry, Ross, you broke away. I didn't hear you.
That's fine. The thing will get it.
Seriously, dude, you need to stop streaming your Pornhub. That HD with your fiber is not good. Gone now.
I lost him.
We lost
I'm
him.
not gone. I'm sitting here. I'm just not saying anything. Just not speaking.
Ross is actually in an 8K virtual reality right now. That's why he can't do video with us. He's got the goggles on.
He just upgraded his internet as well. I think he was on something like 0.5 megabyte upload or something like that, or download. So he just upgraded it. So it's obviously still not good enough.
So let's do one more question. Rosita from a random Facebook group asks, I have a frenemy who unfriended me on Facebook. Then recently she refriended me. I'm starting a photography business, and the frenemy started messaging me to ask about how I had so many clients and asking for help marketing. I sent her some resources online that I had used, and she said those don't seem applicable to her. So she was just going to reread the marketing books she already owns and see if she can glean something new from them. She's been messaging me a lot with questions about photography, like where I get my backdrops. I told her. She told me they were way too expensive. They're over $100 each. She said she wouldn't spend more than $40 on a backdrop. Then just the other day, after telling me she couldn't figure out her pricing for a few months, I went to her site and saw she has pricing information up finally. She literally copied my pricing page word for word. I spent a lot of time doing research to try to figure out how to price things, and she just copied my hard work. Should I block this person, or what should I do?
Block her and then post a bag of shit to her.
Like literally in the mail, a bag of So in America, mail is like a federal thing, and if you sent somebody a bag of poop, it could be tracked back to you quite easily.
Can you not FedEx it then, or DHL?
Those also could be tracked back to you quite easily.
Send it to James
Royal
first,
Mail's not
and
that good
James will forward it.
I'll send it to her. Oh, I hate that. It drives me nuts.
When you get bags of shit in the mail?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Don't know if you get done for it here. Don't know. You can send your... well, no, you wouldn't, because like if you've got to get a stool sample, you can send it to the hospital with the mail, so it is not illegal.
Of all the things you thought you'd be discussing, James, that would not be one of them.
No, I would block her. I would send her a little email to say, you're disappointed, always use disappointed, that, that she's, copied the information and she'd really do it herself, and then just block her.
I think what you do is you wait a few weeks, Stephen, and then you email her and just say, hey, by the way, I'm thinking about adding photo booth services. I didn't know if you wanted to know so that you could add that to your services.
I like that. I
just
like
wanted
that.
to keep things kind of in point.
Keep sharing
with what we have going on.
things, yeah.
Have you guys ever found somebody ripping you off?
No, not that good enough, mate.
So, like when my wife first started her business, there was a friend of ours from college who started her own photography business. And it was like within a few weeks of Jen posting like, oh, she just became an LLC. And like, here's a photo of like their certificate saying she's an LLC. Like a week later, the other girl's like, or maybe it's 2 weeks. I forget what it was, but it was like very shortly after. It was like the same post, almost like the same words in the post about how like it was going official, and like a lot of stuff happened like that over the course of like the first year or two of Jen's business, where it just felt like this other person was copying her. And on one hand, it felt like the other person was copying her. On the other hand, it was like, those are like things that a lot of people do when they first start a business because they're proud of it and they want people to know. But then it was like, but she's also writing like almost the same stuff word for word. It feels like she's just looking over like what Jen's doing and then being like, I should do that too. And it was, we did not end up blocking this person, but it was one of those situations where it was just very frustrating because it was, we went to college together, so we were pulling at the beginning of our careers from like the same pool as far as like clients and stuff like that went. And so it was frustrating. It was very, very frustrating. I feel like by not blocking this person and by not like ever saying something to her, we took a moral high ground, which I just lost by talking about it on this podcast.
busted that open.
Ross is gone again.
All right. Well, it's been fun,
Ross
guys.
Gone. Yeah.
I'm not talking. I'm not talking.
We had a photographer in our area, a really, really great guy, nice guy, and he was married, and his missus would help him out with second shooting weddings, and then they got divorced. And then the ex, when they got divorced, and he set up a new relationship and this sort of stuff with another girl, and the ex, who still has his last name, decided she was going to set up her own photography business using his last name.
What?
I mean, how shitty is that? And he's a really well-established photographer.
That's mental.
And she just sets up with and it's a very unusual last name, so it's going to stand out. I just thought that was really shitty. And if the girls listen to this podcast, that was really shitty of you. It was. I'm not going to lie. I think it's fine to take something and take inspiration from other photographers and then tweak it so it's your own a little bit.
But that's stealing. That's just stealing.
What was that? Sorry, Ross.
That's stealing.
It's stealing. Yes, I don't know how that is in America. If you can get take someone to court if it's worth it. But
I mean, if I was that guy, I would have been like, "Hey, Janet, Fluffer Noodle's my last name. You can't take that."
Fluffer Noodles.
Maybe that's what you need to do. And
you lost Fluffer Noodles in court.
You need to set it up in court and just be like, you have to go back to you have to switch your name to a different name. You cannot keep my last name.
Spider update. Iris just messaged me to say I flung a towel at it. I'm now up with sea last now, but we'll get the wasp spray when I come back down. I cannot have it in my house. Oh, me.
You just got to put some of the insect repellent around your whole house. Because if you kill all the insects and keep insects from getting in, then the spiders won't have any food, so they won't want to be in your house.
We've got a lot of flies right now and wasps.
Yeah.
But we've got some pretty bad weather at the moment. Not as bad, of course, what America's getting and Florida and all that's getting just now, but we've got some pretty horrible weather today, so all the spiders are coming in. It's getting cold.
All right, I got to go meet with a bride and groom.
All right.
Love you guys.
Before Dustin goes, where can people find you guys?
Ross, if you're not going to hear him, so I'll just say you'll get Ross at Eaglesham Photography. That's Eaglesham Photography. He doesn't really post anything decent on his Instagram other than golfing crap. And you can find him as well on Eaglesham on Facebook, because that's where everyone goes on Facebook. So you can Google him and get him on there. And I think his website's something like www.eagleshamphotography.com. I'm sure if you Google Eaglesham Photography, you will get his work, which is absolutely phenomenal. Very inspiring, and feel free to copy all his work. Me, on the other hand, you will get me at James Kelly Photography on Facebook. You will get me on Instagram, James Kelly _photo. And my website is www.jameskelly.co. And no, it doesn't stand for Columbia.
Yes, it does.
Got it. Colombian James Kelly.
Colombian
James Kelly, the Colombian wedding photographer. Cocaine by the bucket load.
Do you ever wonder if there's a James Kelly in Colombia that's like super spiteful of you?
Raging.
Google that now.
While James is Googling that, I just want to say thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of the Wedding Photographers Craic Hangover Podcast. It's a mouthful, we know, with Dustin and Steve and Ross and James. If you want to help us out, jump on iTunes or Stitcher and leave us a 5-star review. You could probably find either podcast by searching Wedding Photographers Craic Hangover, I assume, and leave reviews for both of us.
Yeah.
And you can find Dustin, my man, at Dustin _McKibben, or you can find me at Stephen Van Elk on Instagram. If you guys want to get involved with the awesome community of listeners, you can join the Wedding Hangover Facebook group, or the Photographers Craic Podcast has a Facebook group as well that is awesome. But if you really want to warm our hearts, you can jump on over to SteveandDustinSaveTheWorld.com, and you can sign up to support us for as little as $1 a month. It's extremely helpful to us and to the making of this podcast, but not to the making of the Photographers Craic Podcast, because they don't have a Patreon. James Kelly is actually a Patreon subscriber to the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast. Hey man, James, why did you sign up for that?
I give you my $100 a month because I love you all.
And because he supports it, he gets to come on the podcast once a year.
Exactly.
Oh, this is the second time. You got to pay for another subscription. Or Ross, can you? Ross, go ahead and subscribe.
I'll need to pay.
Joking.
I'm not.
Thank you guys so much.
Cheers,
we'll see you
guys.
next week when your head is pounding, your limbs feel like dead weight, and your entire being aches for the sweet embrace of death. That's right. Next Sunday after you shoot another wedding. Thank you guys so much for coming on again. This is awesome.
My pleasure.
Yeah, sorry my thing's shit. I don't know. Can you hear anything I'm saying now?
I think it's funny. We were trying to do this like in the summertime so that Ross wouldn't be teaching at the time, and then by the time we finally got it scheduled, he's back teaching again, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, these teachers are always off. But you know, even when they're at school, they're not really switched on. Yeah, Ross, you just messaged us to say he sounds pish. He does sound pish. And pish, if anyone doesn't know what pish means, it means piss. And he says, go F you at James Kelly.
Go F you at jameskelly.com. Or .co, sorry.
.co, yeah, come on, don't confuse them. .co, Colombian Fresh Coffee.
What the hell are you drinking?
Semen.
Milk. So, shit, I just spilled milk all over my hard drives.
Semen.
Fucking hell. Sorry, I lost your wedding photos. I ejaculated over the hard drives, and unfortunately, I can't provide you with your images. My contract does cover me for premature ejaculation.
Wedding Photo Hangover was edited this week by Steve Van Elk of Bespoke Tone. Go to Bespoke Tone for all of your photo, video, and audio editing needs. Woo-wee!